Cariker. I'm with 7 Media Group. Been in business a little over 10 years and primarily working with retail businesses doing mobile marketing. And that encompasses a lot of things these days. So in essence, marketing. So basically, does anyone in here not have a mobile phone? I mean, I don't really know that you can do business these days or communicate. If you got kids, you got a phone. I mean, it's essentially everybody on the planet probably has at least one device. So I'm going to run through some statistics. I know this can be really boring. Statistics can kind of bog you down a little bit. I'll have these slides available if anybody wants them later. I can email them to you if you just give me your email address. But I'm going to go through some of these because it illustrates the massive power of mobile and reaching a customer on their mobile device. Because I don't think sometimes people realize, even yourself, how much time you consume on your phone. So I have a 15-year-old daughter. We have a screen time app on her phone that tracks stuff, and even she doesn't realize sometimes, oh, I spent 14 hours on my phone Sunday? Yeah, we didn't see you all day, so yeah. So essentially, 4 hours per day is the average. Now that takes into account, you know, my 65-year-old dad and my 15-year-old daughter, so it averages out, but think about, other than working, what do you do for 4 hours a day? Your phone is in your hand almost all the time. 69% of all media time is spent on a smartphone. Now that encompasses television, radio, print, just internet surfing. Your phone is where you're doing most of your media consumption. So you're watching videos, you're watching movies, you're checking in on Facebook. All the things that you're really doing with media or traditional media is being done with your phone in essence. 80% of smartphone users use their device to search the internet. I rarely go to a computer and actually look something up. My phone's in my hand, I just do a quick search. There's more and more things built into things like Google and the search mechanism within your phone, whereas now you can type in a search term and it'll actually immediately do the query and go. I mean, it's just getting more and more sophisticated because they know that's what people are doing, is searching. So more than 3/4 of shoppers use their phone along with the physical in-store shopping. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with this habit or this behavior of customers that come into your store and they're looking to compare pricing, or they're looking for products, or they want to know more information about it because maybe they don't see it on the product and they haven't seen a salesperson yet. So really, they're using their phone in conjunction with shopping at your location. So almost half of all mobile users switch to a competitor if they had a bad experience on a website. Today, when I started my company 10 years ago, it was kind of hit and miss with the power sports industry as to whether or not your site was mobile. In fact, I'd say this, less than half of sites were mobile friendly, that you could look on your phone and actually have a good experience. Today, it's much better. You guys really have mobile friendly websites or responsive websites. That's very important, very critical. When your customer's first contact with you is through their phone and they get to your website, they can't see the information in an easy way to consume it, they're gonna leave. So how are you reaching your mobile customers? I'm going to go through a few things that are probably happening today. Email is still very viable and very popular. However, there's not a huge success rate. You have a large list of customers. Email addresses change over time. Part of your list is dead or dirty. So you go through this churn and you go through this aspect of email marketing that you feel like is getting you some bump, but at the end of the day, it's pretty small. 14% is like an industry average through retail. You might get 25, 40, 70%. I mean, what's the number that you feel like, okay, this is successful, this is something I need to continue to do? Again, I think email is such a passive medium for so many people today. You're checking your email, but how often do you get past the subject line? You know, you look at it, okay, I'll answer that later. It's not timely, it's not immediate. Social media usage has peaked. Now, this is something that you might question or think, oh, wait a minute, I'm not sure about that. It has, in fact, over the last 4 years, has stagnated and plateaued off. As younger consumers grow, they're not as into social media as maybe the millennial generation or the baby boomers and the older age groups. So you're going to find more and more that social media is going to be more splintered and less time spent on what we would call traditional social media, like an Instagram or a Facebook or even Twitter. So this is just a quick graph. I mean, again, I can share all these slides with anyone that needs them later, but it's still a large audience, don't get me wrong. You don't want to abandon it and ignore it, but it should come into play when you start thinking about your strategy for how you market your dealership and your services and products. Where am I spending my time and where are my customers going? You can chase your customers all day long. I mean, because that's essentially what you're doing. You're going where you think they're at. So one of the questions I always ask dealers is, what platforms are you on? I could go to 100 different dealer websites, and to almost 100% will click on a social media icon and go to a social media channel that they have that hasn't been updated in 2 years. Every single one has Twitter, well, we don't update that, or Instagram, well, that's new, we have one picture. You're always wanting to be there, but what are you doing there? So you're chasing the next big thing. How many have heard of TikTok? Right? So you know what TikTok is. That's a social media channel. Last year, TikTok had more downloads than Facebook and Facebook Messenger. So are any of your dealerships on TikTok? Right? So that's my point is, are you chasing everything, and is it going to be viable? Even though there's an audience there, is it an audience that you're going to go after? So, what do you do with your strategy overall? Mobile customer. Now, these are some more stats that I feel like are very relevant, very well worth sharing. 98% of text messages are read. 98%, and I would think it's more like 100%. You opt into things, you get a message, you read it, and you read a message within 5 minutes. I mean, that's something else, that it's the immediacy, like I mentioned before. How often you go through your email, look at the subject line, and keep going. Think of a subject line of an email like a text message. It's quick, it's easy, you get the gist of what you're trying to get out of it, and then you make a decision. Am I going to dig deeper? Am I going to click a link? Am I going to do something? But when you get a text alert, you read your messages almost immediately. 96% of those who own a smartphone text. That's something that I always used to joke in my presentations was having a smartphone really doesn't necessarily make us smarter. And I'm probably a perfect example of that. But in essence, you have this device that has so much power in it, but a lot of us just use it to text our family, text our friends, text our customers. So if, in this day and age, the smartphones are so prevalent, people still use them for some of the basic aspects and functionality. So this is a great stat here. Now this is something that really applies a lot to what dealers have the opportunity to do, which is drive customers for specific offers. And I'll go into some examples here in a minute of some specific things that can show some ROI. 32% of recipients respond to an SMS offer. So you have a customer on a list, you send them a text, a full third of those people are going to respond to it in a positive way. And a traditional coupon versus a text coupon, you're going to get a much higher redemption rate and response rate, 10 times higher. That's significant. And again, you're talking about something that's on the phone, a digital format, they have the coupon, it can have a barcode on it, they walk in and say, I want this $10 off, whatever it might be. 54% of consumers receive at least one SMS message per day. Now that's not from their friends or family, that's from a business or a brand. It is very, very popular for you to engage with brands that you trust. You get messages from Best Buy, or you get messages from Home Depot. I get 20 or 30 messages a day from the New York Yankees because I'm a baseball fan. Those are things that I'm passionate about. You have a great luxury in that you're in an industry that is passion-driven and lifestyle-driven. You have an opportunity to exploit that in a good way because your customers want your content. So when you send them messages, they're looking for it. 50% of consumers who receive branded SMS go on to make a purchase. Again, these are simple things through a plain text message, but a call to action and a reason to come in the store is all they're looking for. They just want to know, what do you have that I don't know about? Texting a prospect after initial contact increased conversion by 112%. Now this is incredibly important because we all have this issue or this question or concern after I've sold something. I've sold them a motorcycle, an ATV, a helmet. What do I do next? I know this guy needs to buy this, or he wanted that, or he asked about that. Texting is incredibly powerful when you can take that information about that sale or purchase and then transfer that into another action. They purchased a specific helmet, but they declined to get the grips for their handlebars. Well, if you have a way to collect that information, then you can send them a text a week later that says, oh, those grips you were looking at, we have them on sale now. Those kind of things today, you see that in Amazon and other online commerce. You guys aren't as adept at the online commerce piece, and you don't really have to be because you really want the experience to be in the store, but there's no reason you can't use data and you can't use technology to create that same or similar experience that they're accustomed to getting with really large brands. So again, these are all positive things. These are all things that you can expect by implementing SMS or implementing a text mobile strategy in marketing that are going to give you some results. This is an example. I have some examples specific to the power sports industry that I can share. I thought this one was cool. This is kind of aligned in your industry. This is open wheel auto racing in the UK. 45,000 customers. So they have a database of their audience. They sent them a text message inviting them to purchase a ticket for a Formula One race. That's it. Wasn't elaborate, wasn't too over the top, it wasn't, in your face. 680% ROI. I mean, they sold tickets because they sent a text, here's a link, purchase, boom, that's it. It's that simple. But they had a base built, they leveraged their customer relationship they already had established, and they used that. They exploited it to their benefit, but to the customer's benefit. I mean, how many times you get a message about something that works and it gets you what you want, and you look at it and go, oh, hell, that was easy. Why don't I get these every day? I think this is a good example, a definition of sanity is doing the same thing over and over, and again, expecting a different result. This goes back to my point about social media, about what platforms you're on. Oh, well, I'm not doing that great on Twitter, so I'm going to go on Instagram. Well, if you're doing the same thing on Instagram you did on Twitter, you're not going to have any more success. It really does take a strategy involved to help you use those channels. And mobile's the same way. SMS in itself, it helps to have a strategy or a partner to help you implement and execute all the things you're trying to accomplish. So now these are some of the things that will speak directly to things you're familiar with as far as your data. My company, we have over 1.5 million motorcycle riders in our database. That's through the relationships we currently have with dealerships all over the US. They import their data. They're able to use the data that they have on hand, which is sales data, service data, essentially the customer's phone number. So you have an opportunity in front of you as a dealership to immediately get something out of the existing customer relationship that you already have. So you're using probably Lightspeed. You have something along those lines for your DMS. You have that data that's sitting there. We work with all of the CRMs, all the DMSs where we can help export data out. I mean, it's something that your vendor or your provider can help you with. They'll explain to you how to use it. So any company that you partnered with or you want to use as a mobile provider is going to be able to help you or should be able to help you use this data that you have. So targeting customers, this is something I mentioned before about declining a purchase. They wanted to buy this, but they want to wait until this item came up. You have that information and you have what kind of equipment they own, if there's a recall, if there's an accessory that they want to purchase, or if there's service that needs to be done. We had a dealership that we work with out in California several years ago that had a Polaris personal watercraft recall. To the dealership, that work was worth $640, I think. So right off the top, your fixed cost of your dealership and service, you want to drive in more business, obviously. We sent a text out to the people that own that exact personal watercraft and said, schedule an appointment, it's covered, come in. They got 10 appointments in the first day. I mean, that's pretty good, I think, right? I don't own a dealership, but I think if you got 10 extra service appointments at $640 a pop, all scheduled, in one day, that ought to be pretty good for revenue for that month. But essentially, you're taking that relationship and you're helping that customer out, because good chance is they got something in the mail from Polaris and they threw it in the trash. Or they might have got an email and it went to spam. You sent them a text, they read it, they saw it, they acted on it. Additional data, that's another thing. So you have a lot of really great information, but there's more information that you can collect. Find out their date of birth. You have a birthday club. Some of you might have joined a birthday club through email, maybe with a radio station or a listener club or a loyalty club, and you get a special offer on your birthday. Who doesn't want to get something free or some special on their birthday? You collect their date of birth, now you have that, and you can target based on age demographics. You know, it's a byproduct of that participation that customer is doing with you, and they're like, oh yeah, I'll join the birthday club. Now I know that you're 24 or 34 or 44. Now I can use that as I move forward and market new products or services. Your age demographic makes a big difference in what you're trying to sell. Another good example would be your gender. You know, you have women's riders classes or women's apparel or women's helmets. You don't know their gender because you don't collect that when they come in and buy something, but you could do a text in to win giveaway, reply with your gender, male or female. You'll get 95 to 100% response rate. Sure, I'll reply M to give you my gender. Now you have that in your database. Now you can query on that to add more targeting aspects to your data that you already have. So I think this is important too. 80% of brands think that they're doing a superior customer experience. Customers think it's 8%. That's a huge divide. Your industry is not going to be quite as skewed as that. I think your customers are more passionate, more loyal. Their experience is going to be a little different because, again, it is an enthusiastic crowd that you have. But on the whole, companies put things out there in a digital way, and they think this is really slick, it's really cool, but they don't really get feedback from the customer and understand how to evolve and change and make it better. So the customer side of it is completely different than what the brand side is. They don't really connect that well. A positive digital experience or response can mean up to 40% of your customers will spend more with you. They will spend more money if they're happy. If they feel like you went above and beyond to send them a birthday text or whatever it is, they're going to come back and they're going to say, hey, I really appreciate that. You know, I'm going to give you my business again. I'm a Marriott Rewards person. We checked into the hotel last night. By the time I got to my room, I had a notification on my phone asking me if the check-in process was to my satisfaction. I mean, they weren't messing around, and I'm a very loyal Marriott guy for that simple reason of technology works the way it's supposed to. So if you give customers something that is simple and easy, they're going to reward you, and it's going to be at the cash register. 86% of customers say they're willing to pay more if it means a better experience. Think about that for a second. How many times have you gone and looked at something that you felt like, well, if I go to Walmart and buy a TV, I got a 22-year-old kid that's just going to say we don't have it in stock, or I go to a Best Buy or a high-end electronics store, I'll pay more money for the same TV because there's a guy there that knows what he's talking about. He explains it to me. Same goes for you. You have all these online resources that your customers are looking and shopping, but they don't have anybody to ask a question that says, hey, I want to buy, you know, these handlebars, but how do they install? How can I do this? What can I add on it? The website doesn't tell them that. You tell them that. So they're willing to come in and spend more money with you because they trust your expertise, your authority. So this is just a quick little graph I'll run through of kind of the customer process. A lot of dealers, a lot of retail businesses in general are always chasing that next customer. And I'm a really strong believer that if you spent that time or even a part of that time chasing someone with your current customers, you would see a huge impact. I mean, it's really proven that by fostering that relationship with an existing customer pays huge dividends. So you have a lead capture source, you have web forms on your website, you do events, you do signage, you do Facebook ads, you do all these different things to capture that lead. Then what are you doing with it? You know, there's, again, a lot of effort, a lot of money put into that. When you do capture that lead, what's that experience? If you're going after a new prospect, a new customer, what is their first impression of you as a business? Do they get to a digital landing page that doesn't look good on their phone, doesn't have a call to action, doesn't have information? So you have to really think through the process from start to finish before you ever even start out. Your strategy itself, your messaging strategy. When someone signs up for something, or they text in to win, or they sign up on a web form, and they get a message, what does that message say? Is it generic? If you collected their name when they signed up, are you using their name in the message you sent to them? Are you personalizing it? Are you using the data that they're providing you to make their customer experience better. Then the sale. Obviously, there's got to be a call to action. You can't just say, hey, come in and hang out. You want to come in, hang out, and buy this item, and this is why. So the sale part of it is obviously the end result in terms of the customer's journey. In their mind, I bought it, I'm going to leave, but getting to that point is really challenging. Now, one of the least emphasized areas that I feel like the industry across the whole in power sports needs to be better about is loyalty and reviews. Now, I don't mean customer loyalty in that they just come and buy their stuff whenever they need it. I mean loyalty in a sense that they will tell their friends and family about how great you are. They will give you positive reviews. You ask them for a review when they come in and purchase something. You want to give them every opportunity to tell you how great you are. And if you would do that, it's incredible how many customers are happy to do it. They want their opinion to be heard. They want people to know that you're a good provider of a service or product, and they want others to know that, and they feel like that makes them an authority. People are going to respect my opinion and my reviews about a business, because who doesn't like their ego stroked a little bit that, hey, I like what he said about such and such dealership, I'm going to go check them out. So time spent on this aspect of it is going to completely change that next phase, and the circle is completed better when you have that review and loyalty, because now that customer comes back in and there's all of this built in already and the customer experience that they expect. You don't have to start from scratch. So mobile campaigns. So this is something I mentioned earlier, some examples of some things that are effective that we do countless times, that I've seen done throughout a multitude of businesses in terms of actually what are they doing to reach out to their customers. You offer a customer accessories and parts related to a specific unit that they purchased and their riding style. So you send out a text alert, you have a direct link to a custom landing page with that accessory or part. That's not hard to do. Now, you're not staffed up to do that. You don't have a full-time web person probably. A lot of you don't have full-time marketing people. But there are resources out there available that can do this stuff for you, like a turnkey solution. But it's important because that customer journey we talked about, you don't want to just message them a generic message. And even if you think you're closing the loop on it and saying, do this, do that, is there any place in that communication channel that you maybe dropped the ball? You put a nice page together that had the product on it, but then what? How about put a phone number on there? Call and we'll tell you if it's in stock. I mean, there's other little aspects to it for you to get that customer connected to you one-to-one. So that experience is very important, but again, using data. That's what it really is critical, is using the data that you have. Existing data, consider SMS alerts for offers related to service. Again, like I mentioned before, the example about a recall. Nobody likes to have recalls, but it happens. And you want to do the work when it does. You want to be that dealership that they go to. Things just like general maintenance and other aspects of the equipment that they purchase from you could be tires, it could be oil changes, things like that. You're not like the car industry where you kind of have this 3-month, 3,000-mile structure, but what you in essence have though is time purchase. When did they buy this? Was it the beginning of the season? Was it the end of the season? Are they a hunter? Are they a street bike rider? You have enough information that you could send a message out that says, hey, check your mileage, you might be in store for an oil change. There's just things like that you can think through and do it on a large scale, right? All of this we're talking about is one-to-one, but you're doing this from your standpoint of 1 to thousands, or however many customers you have in your database. You can message them and communicate with them on a personal level that they feel like it's between two people, but on your side, you're mass messaging. You're catching tons of customers all at one time. This is something that I think is very underutilized. If you get OEM co-op, we were the first mobile company to work with Yamaha. They co-op 50% of all mobile. These are things that you feel like I don't have the budget, I don't have the money, I don't really know what I want to do. Go to your OEM and say, hey, we're going to build a text database. What will you help me do? Will you help me pay for it? Will you help me with what messages I need to send out? They'll tell you, yeah, we want to do an event. We'll pay for your mobile. We'll pay for whatever. and let them pay for it. I mean, there's no reason not to. And obviously the goal is to get customers in. They want to come in for a Yamaha or Suzuki, Honda, whatever. They're going to shop, they're going to buy other stuff. So again, leverage relationships you already have that are in front of you that can take a phone call. Personalization, I've mentioned this a few different times. If you're doing it correctly and if you're really aggressive about it and you want your customers to be, feel good that you know who they are, put their name in the message. You get a mobile system or a vendor that can have that capability to insert the customer's name dynamically. That's pretty incredible. You automatically puts their name in the message they receive and they immediately think you're one-to-one. You can also insert additional data like what kind of equipment do they own? What kind of bike do they own? What kind of side-by-side? You can plug that into a message and now you've got this conversation that sounds like you sat down and wrote up a message just for that one person, but in essence, in actuality, it could be to thousands of people within a matter of seconds. So again, leverage the data and use it. So again, closing the loop, I've said this a couple of times. After they purchase something, it's incumbent on you. It's not the customer. They're not going to come to you and say, how can I review you? How can I give you business? How can I come back and spend more money? It's your responsibility to give them the opportunity to provide you feedback because they don't know how. They're not going to know how. So you have to tell them how. Please give us a review. It's important for our business. We want to make sure we did a good job. We want you to refer your friends and family, and it means something to us. 88% of people that trust online reviews written by a consumer as much as they trust recommendations from a personal contact. That's pretty huge, right? So, I don't know, I might be higher than 88% because I got some stupid friends sometimes that try to tell me stuff and I'm like, I don't think so. You read reviews online, no matter what it is, you're smart enough to go through and go, oh, that's bullshit. Okay, that's cool. Oh, this is good. This guy, Steve, is a great salesman. I'm going to ask for him. Consumers look for this stuff. They want to know how you treated other people. Then their expectation is set. These guys respond to their reviews, good or bad. They have a 4.5-star rating. They go through all of this and then they compare it to your competitor. And they look and see what they're doing. Are they answering reviews? Are they talking to customers? It is, again, the most underemphasized area of your business right now, but it is a huge factor in your ongoing success. You really have to embrace it. A testimonial is not a review, okay? I'm gonna say that again. A testimonial is completely different than a review, right? There are some websites and web companies that let your customers give their feedback and their testimonial about how great you were, okay? That's fine. They put that on your website. George said we got a 5-star review. He loves our service department, okay? If that only lives on your website, who's seeing that? Probably your customers you already have or somebody that accidentally fell across your website for some reason, right? It's typically not created and indexed in a way that it's going to show up in Google search very well. So having a testimonial has positive, feel-good stuff for you, but if your reviews aren't on Facebook and Google and Yelp and so on, you're not getting the most out of that opportunity. What does a 5-star review on your website mean versus a 5-star review on Google, right? How many more thousands of people are going to see that on Google? So you spend your time getting that review, but you're not doing yourself really any long-term justice by hiding it on your own website. I know that kind of goes against what some people believe, that it's all about my website, but I promise you, you're not the center of the universe. Customers have to find their way to you, and it's through Google, I promise you. If not Google, Facebook. Respond to all reviews you receive. That's good or bad, right? That's something that a lot of the dealers feel like that are using these testimonials is they can gatekeep it. Guy wasn't happy, well, I'm gonna push that aside. That's not gonna show up on my website. All right, that's your decision, it's your business. But when you look at reviews, ask yourself, if you're gonna go purchase something, if you're gonna take a vacation, responded and took care of the problem. That's almost as better to me seeing that than seeing 50 good reviews, right? I see those, okay, good, that's great. Oh, this guy was pissed off, but they took the time to go back and make him a customer still. That's huge. I want to see that. If I'm a business owner, I want to know what I did wrong. So hiding that from the world is not doing you any benefit. I mean, it really doesn't help you out unless you're not a good operator, and that's just the way you do business, and I can't help you with that. So it's important, though, to follow up with those reviews, good or bad. You want to be able to monitor the people that are giving you their feedback. They're taking their time to give you that review. You should go back and take time to do nothing less than just say thank you. Thank you for being a customer. That's all you have to do. It's so simple. That's it. Like I said, I'm not a big slide guy. I mean, I hate running through all that stuff, but it's meaningful information. It's things that probably a lot of you maybe didn't know, or you thought you might know, or you wondered, what should I do with this or that? There's no magic bullet. My company works with, again, hundreds of dealerships. There's no two dealership alike, and there's no two solution that works for everybody that's the same. It just really goes into how you do business. You shouldn't have to change how you do business to be able to leverage technology. And technology is not that scary. You all have websites. You probably feel your website's great. It does what you need it to do. But is it working for you? Are the things that you're doing with your customers, are they working for you? Simple technology tweaks here and there can really make a big difference. Any questions? Yes?
So I get a text message from, let's say, World Market.
Uh-huh.
I can't text them back. Would you recommend that kind of operation?
Yes, absolutely. That's a great question. He said, for an example, he gets a message from World Market, a text alert. He can't reply back to it. That's a huge flaw on their part, right? A good texting technology gives you the ability to have a two-way conversation, okay? Because you're receiving it as a personal message. They took your time on your phone. They want you to do something. Well, maybe I have a question. And your industry in particular, because you might message me about an event, and maybe you forgot to put the address in there. Well, I want to message you back and say, hey, where's this at? Or do you have this in stock? Or service related, very important. You message your customer, your motorcycle's ready to pick up, we got your oil change ready, Mr. Jones, blah, blah, blah. Respond back, oh, I can't pick it up till tomorrow, what time do you close? That two-way communication is technically simple. It's built into a lot of mobile systems, but it's imperative that you have that ability to let customers talk to you that way. And again, that's a perfect example. I use the example of JCPenney's. I sign up for everything. I'm not a big JCPenney customer, but I would get messages all the time about women's shoes, women's dresses. So I'm like, what the hell are they trying to tell me? I mean, I don't really know what they're going after here. And in my mind, and I'm not the normal consumer, because I'm always thinking marketing, I'm like, why don't you just ask me if I'm a guy or a girl? Reply male or female. And if I tell you I'm a guy, stop sending me messages about shoes, right? They just didn't, again, they're too smart for their own good. They tried to take technology and make it, oh, it's going to solve all of our problems, it's going to do all these great things, but they forgot about the relationship. And just the simple things, asking a simple question. So, other questions? Yeah.
We don't run Lightspeed, we run a company called Commander. They don't really do the
Commander,
SMS thing that I know of. How would we set this SMS up?
So the different DMSs or CRMs that you guys are using, Lightspeed's one. They're obviously on the top end as far as technology. They've done a ton of stuff. All of your systems, though, are database driven. They're formatted to collect data or use data. You can usually export out that data into an Excel spreadsheet or a CSV file, and then you can import that into a mobile system. So a system like what we have gives you the ability to import the data and map all those data pieces. So once a month, you can import the data in manually. Or I don't know if this is a little technical, but if you guys ever heard of APIs, little technical pieces that connect two systems together. An API could be available you may not know about. So then in real time, that data could be mirrored into a mobile database. So you don't want to have to do double work and re-enter information in two places, but there's enough technology there to connect the dots to make it seamless for you as the dealer. Say, okay, I want to go over here to the mobile system and send a text out, but I want to know, OEM, I want to know, that information should be there.
Is it something you guys set up?
Yeah. I don't want to be I'm not a salesman, so please don't feel like I'm trying to pitch. There are a lot of vendors that can do that. I mean, again, good vendors can do those things. Some tell you don't need to do that, or they technically don't have that capability, but a good vendor will help you in your technology issues that you need assistance with. And yeah, it's again, we do it hundreds and hundreds of times a month, with importing data and exporting data, things like that. So it's important. Again, my old life was in the media business, working for a newspaper, and data was paramount to the newspaper industry and selling advertising. So I got into it from the internet side of the world and started seeing web traffic and what are people reading and looking at, and I'm like, aha, I know you're a subscriber to the paper. You look at Oklahoma Sooners football stories. You make $85,000 a year and have 2.5 cars. We have all this other data. I'm like, oh my God, that's incredible. This was before Google. Google, my friends used to ask me, what the hell's Google doing? How do they make money? Like everything you do, they're keeping track of it. And now we know that. So data is incredibly important. And again, you guys have the most valuable data because it's yours. Your customer information, your guy down the street doesn't have the same thing you have because he doesn't know what was purchased at your store and you don't know what was purchased at his store, but your data can be used to your benefit. Any more questions? You guys, I got business cards if you have any other questions at all. Like I said, I'm not like a big sales guy. I really am passionate about the industry. I've spoken at AIM Expo, Dealer Expo, SEMA. I like to educate. I want dealers, no matter who they use as a vendor, to do it the right way because it makes my life easier when dealers do it with us and they know what to expect. So if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to shoot me an email or text or whatever.